Listen, it's two-pronged, right? Of course, Tom Brady, his experience, that championship pedigree will be a tougher opponent in the postseason. But if you ask me who's playing better and who's the better team right now, I go with the Carolina Panthers because they do one thing exceptional. They run the football. And Sam Darnold is playing good football right now. And I think that, Steve Wilks should be, heavily considered to be the head coach going forward. But you can't go against Tom Brady experience, understanding what playoff games are like. If you've never been in the playoffs, if you never, tried to go on a playoff run, you don't understand the elements, the moment, the timing, the discipline, everything that's required to upset an opponent, especially a opponent that has pride. And once that football starts bouncing a certain way, can you seize momentum? That's what it's like. It's the ups and downs of a tough game and winning a tough game. And usually that comes back to experience. It usually comes down to either converting 4th and 1 or stopping 4th and 1. And that comes back with play recognition, experience, and chemistry amongst a group that has been together for a long time and played high-level football. Did I answer the question? I don't know.
RC, what do you think?
I mean, this is one of those questions that puts you in a position to not necessarily analyze football. Because Bart said it correctly. The Carolina Panthers are playing at a higher level right now. The Carolina Panthers have the thing that you can depend on the most, which is the run game. Steve Wilks has this team that was basically left for dead after firing Matt Rule. You're now starting your third quarterback in Sam Darnold, and he has this team prepared and prepping and executing at a level that's going to make them a playoff team. And so when you look at all of those things, you say, you know what? The Carolina Panthers are the better football team. But when we're talking about the playoffs, that's a different level of understanding. That's a different level of expertise. That's a different level of execution. And nobody in the history of football understands that better than Tom Brady. Nobody in the history of football has been in more pressure moments and shown up big for his team than Tom Brady. When we look at the 2020 championship of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Devin White and his defense elevated themselves to heights that we have seen only from the likes of the Baltimore Ravens early on in the 2000s, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers early on in the 2000s. And so if you're asking me who I'm more confident in being able to understand the moment and hosting a wild card game and finding a little bit of magic, some mystical pixie dust to sprinkle over their stadium.
Let's go, Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The problem is this. I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to get there.
Either.
I believe the Carolina Panthers beat them. I believe the Carolina Panthers win the NFC South. So really, we're asking a question that can only be played in fantasy land. Because the Carolina Panthers are the team executing at a better level now in the regular season, caring more about each and every play in the regular season. And they're the team that's going to win this matchup this weekend.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'll go ahead and indulge you in fantasy land here, RC, and thinking about like the Bucs in the postseason. They can't run the football. They can't protect. Tom Brady only looks like the Tom Brady we're used to when they go into hurry-up mode. Their defense is okay. So I don't know. That's not a playoff team to me. A playoff team is a team that can have its run game travel. And very clearly, Carolina is trending in that direction. Chuba Hubbard, Deontay Foreman, what they did last week against the Detroit Lions, that's the formula you're going to have when the games matter the most in January. Now, going back to that first matchup that they had, the Bucs and the Panthers, Week 7, the blueprint there that they created to beat Tom Brady blitzed the hell out of him. He had the lowest QBR of the season, lowest completion percentage of the season, the highest pressure percentage he's faced this year. All came because of what they were doing defensively in Carolina. So I think there is a changing of the guard this weekend, that Carolina does win the NFC South. They will go into the playoffs. They'll be able to host that home game as the 4 seed. And then they can get dangerous. I mean, they've won 3 of their last 4 games. Guys are playing hard for Steve Wilks. We're seeing a new version, I guess, or at least an unleashed version of Sam Darnold. What's not to like about that?
See, when you get into these tough games, pressure busts pipes. And Carolina has been able to be underneath the radar and kind of do their thing and play, no expectations. Now it's expectations. And this is when the pressure and the experience comes to light, because guys try and do too much, right? Because all of a sudden they see the light at the end of the tunnel. Oh, wow, we can make a playoff run. And if we make a playoff run, jobs are saved, right? Steve Wilkes, they will have to give him the job, right? Sam Darnold may get heavier consideration because they figured the end goal. And then that's when the nerves come in. That's when you try and do too much and try and get ahead of your skis and start farming other people's land. So understanding that, Tom Brady, the experience, it's going to be a hell of a fight because Tom Brady ain't going to go quietly into the night. What's wrong, RC? What I say?
Bart, why would I ski and mine somebody else's farm? Who skis and farms in the same climate? You can't do that. You can't do both of those things, Bart Scott. Like, I am legitimately confused here. I am in confusion. When the other thing that pressure does is make diamonds. And think about what we saw last week against the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions were arguably one of the hottest teams in football. The Detroit Lions were a team that was continuing their push to be a playoff team, to get a wild card spot. And so I believe that there was as much pressure on that game last week as there's going to be on this week, because that game was the game you had to win to even make this week possible, for this week to even have the importance that it does. And they leaned on who they are. They leaned on the way that they run the football. They leaned on the way that they play defense. And I think that all of those things are the same things that they're going to be confident in going into a game against Tampa Bay, who they dominated. And now, I believe we all remember how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game started. Mike Evans is behind everybody. He's behind the Carolina mascot. He's behind all the officials. And Tom Brady hits him. He's behind everybody. And Tom Brady hits him right on the 3, and he drops it. When you have a play like that is so catastrophic to what you're trying to accomplish, sometimes that could carry over. I don't expect it to be a blowout. So I believe that pressure will be on, and I think that the Carolina Panthers right now are playing in a way where they believe that they can win this game, and that's what we'll see.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.